Greetings. Welcome back to my channel. We are reviewing Put a Ring on It, Season 3, Episode 8, Step Up or Step Aside. So Dr. Nicole sat down with the three couples and really, you know, gave them some things they need to think about in their next journey so they can really think, what are we going to do? Are we going to, keep going with this? Or is it time to step aside and let someone else be in this relationship? So she started out with Shar and Otis. She asked Shar, about her relationship, not her relationship, but her date with Chris. How did that go? Did she want to go on another date with him? And she said, she had a nice time. He was funny and everything, but she don't think that she's going to go on another date with him because she thinks that it may cause some, problems or maybe disrespect because he has some other things in mind when it comes to the date and what he wants. And, you see Fonzo over there like, what? Him and Shay. So Dr. Nicole said, well, what do you mean by that? She was curious. So Shar went on to say, he basically told her he want to take me from my man. So I don't want, those kind of problems, and then it flashed back to when she was on her date with Chris and what he said. And it really took her back. She was like, oh, but Shar, she looked a little bit like she was a little flattered by that and like, oh, she's going to have these two men, fighting over her. So, sometimes girls like that kind of thing. But anyway, she went on to tell Dr. Nicole that when she goes out on a date, she doesn't want, anything negative involved. She just wants to go on a good date without any issues. So Fonzo had to jump in there, and give his piece and raise his hand. And Dr. Cole said, okay, Alfonso, what is it? And he went on to talk about how these men basically are not looking for friends. They go on these dates and they want more. And Shay looking at him like, oh, really? They don't want to be no friends. And her whole thing is like, oh, really? Because, you claim, in the back of her mind, probably saying, you claim you friends with your business associates or whatever. So that may not be the case. So Nicole's, oh, God, I can't even get his name right. Kenneth was like, that's right. That's right. So Shar said, no, we can be friends. The difference with us is that we can be friends with men. Y'all can't. And she was like, oh, wait a minute. You've been on dates too, Alfonso. That's what Shay said. So can you be friends with your woman? He was like, no. That's why that's why I don't have none. And she was like, look, I told y'all Alfonso can't be friends with these women. But you see, early in the earlier episodes, he said he could. So now they go on, Dr. Nicole asked Otis how he felt about that and, explain the dynamics of when they go on these dates and, why did she feel that way? Because she felt that she was giving Chris a little more, too much power to say he can take her away. And he was like, no, Dr. Nicole, I think that's, going to cause more of an issue. And, she wants dates, to be friendships. But one of the things he said is that he's weak, no, Otis went on to say that he thinks that he's going to speak for Chris to say that she's a weak woman when he made that statement. And he said, don't you feel that way? And she said, no way, absolutely not. And she said, don't ever say that to me again. So she was pissed. Then you see here Shay and Fonzo have this look on their face like, yikes, that's kind of an insult. And she said, no, I don't think that at all. And she looked at him like, here he goes embarrassing me again with that slick, that slick comment he made. But one of the things with Otis, I think, is, because he said that so direct to Shar, now his whole thing is to make her feel bad. And he's saying, I'm just thinking that this is how, he basically views her to make a statement like that. But Otis is about hitting to the gut. And, sometimes communication is not well with them because of the comments that we make. And Shar was just, thinking that was like an insult and really wasn't feeling it. So Dr. Nicole was telling the couples how, the dynamics of how they should communicate with one another we have to be, mindful and how those two, how it makes the others feel. And then she asks, did y'all think that? Did y'all, take that some kind of way? And as him relating that to himself. And Shay said, no, yeah, I pretty much, think that. So Shorty was the one who said, I think he's making that comment, reflecting it on him, how he feels about Shar being weak and putting that on Chris, basically. And he said he don't like the way the girls, basically stood up for her. He thinks that they probably do agree with him, but wants Shar to feel better. And I'm like, really, Otis, really? But anyway, they bore me sometimes. I don't know, the dynamics of them two, just like it's so petty and childish sometimes. But they had some things to work through. And Shar said, yeah, sometimes she could be a little petty and defensive, but she feels she's justified in that. Now here we have Shay getting ready for their date. Fonzo has his, and she has hers, and so she's trying to take Dr. Nicole's advice. She's putting on, his jury form. That first time with the jury, she ain't liked him having the jury on. But, right here, she looking a little mommy dearest. Like, Fonzo, I'm going to take, Dr. Nicole's advice. But the way she holding that hanger, sis, you better watch your back. It's going to be all in and popping. She gonna do something with that anger, so you better be on your best behavior. So Fonzo, like, he's shocked yet impressed that Shay feels that way, but he was like, as long as he keeps his hands off the girl, he'll be okay. He don't want no more fights. So here is Tanisha, Fonzo's date. She like ready. Here she got her little booty shorts on, strolling to the house. She gonna make it do what it do and see Fonzo if he's her type, and if he is, she gonna go after it. So she's coming to the door, and Shay answered it. Now, last time Fonzo had a date, the first one, girlfriend ain't even opened up the door, but this time she opened up the door. Shay was cordial. She's like, I'm growing, okay? I'm growing. I'm making this thing happen. So she even went as far as telling the, sister to have a seat. She had a seat. She said, oh, you very pretty. She said, you too. And I'm like, Shay, really? You doing too much, girl. You really trying to impress for the cameras. But anyway, sis sat down. She was like, do you have any questions for me? Anything you like to ask me? And Tanisha was like, no, I don't think so. You see her face? She's like, you can't tell me nothing, girl. So Shay basically was like, I'm glad you said that. Yes, I'm glad you said that because I have some rules and things to tell you. Okay? So good and doggone well, Shay not going to play that. She got something for her. So she said, okay, number one is, no touching, no hugging or whatever, kissing, anything. That's definitely a no-no. She was like, no texting, and I'm sure, thanks to Otis, no jumping in my husband's DM or hitting him up on social media. Okay, that's a no-no. So as they chit-chat and she laid out her rules, so old girl, they look over and Fonzo's coming down the stairs, Mr. Suave Bola, and here he goes with his shades. Funny, he worked for Rick Ross. He looking like Rick Ross, don't he? Type in the chat what you think was going through Fonzo's mind when he was looking at the sister. So, I'm like, production, you all up in the camera. I'm like, y'all really should have stood outside of the camera. Because we can see y'all and we see why Shay is trying to be on her best behavior. Didn't I tell you? She's doing it for the cameras. So Fonzo tried to give her a hug and she like pushed her to the side and went to the door and was like, oh, wait a minute, little mama. Look at them booty shorts. You cannot be going out with my man with those booty shorts. I'm like, sis, you ain't see that when she came in the house? Come on, Shay. You just saw it now. So she said, I'll let him go. With that smirk on her face like, I will kill you if you try anything. So they went on and they in the car, keying on, sis. She picking Fonzo up. This time Fonzo ain't driving, she driving. They get in the car. They mention how they both Geminis. They both share the same birthday, like a week apart. So they go on their date and they go to a sushi place to learn how to make sushi. So Fonzo's digging in here. They got their little salmon, little carrots, their rice and seaweed and doing their nice little artistic dinner. So, she told, they hopped in there and she's, getting her flirt on like she said she was going to do. She going after Alfonso. She was like, so you not going to feed me? You not going to feed me? I'm like, girl, you pushing it. Didn't you hear the rules? You already missed the rules, huh? Miss Shay already told you. He like, no, I cannot feed you. I got the rules. You ain't getting me. I already told what I cannot do, and no, I cannot feed you. That's one of the rules. So he trying to learn this time. Girl, you trying to get me in trouble. So, he's saying, he remember what Shade said, and he respecting that, and it's time to move on. So she told him, what type of woman he likes, and, he said, I like women natural. I like women, she can have her stretch marks, all the cracks and crevices. And I'm like, what? I don't even like my stretch marks and cracks and crevices. Are you serious, Fonzo? You want it all natural? She was like, oh, well, you gonna love me then. As she ate her little sushi. Because he just want women to just, just beat him, just ooze all over the place. So, she was like, Fonzo basically saying, he likes natural women, and how he, basically, she's the package that he looking for, I guess. So then they started talking about families and the dynamics of blended families, and how, she said she was with someone, and, she has a child, and she gets along with, her child's father. They ain't together, but he got a child, so they, they get together, and they, get along very well with each other. So he was like, oh, okay. And he said that was one of the things that he messed up on. He was talking about the dynamics of his relationship with his baby's mother, and the foundation of it didn't start right. And because of that, it caused a lot of problems, because he just didn't handle the situation. So she's listening, and basically, said, it's good that, I guess that she thought that he, at least want to get that right and try to, make it better between the two of them. But that's something that he messed up on. And he really looking to, I guess, change that dynamics of fixing that problem between his child's mother. Between his child's mother and Shay. But come on, you let it go for so many years. You really wasn't looking to change it. And she said that, well, he has a problem with Shay, and if he can't blend the family with her, he can go and be a blended family with her and hers, or whatever. If she can't do it, work it out with Shay and his baby mother. I'm like, girl, you going a little too far. She was like, I like this conversation. It's going good. Oh, you sweet and all that. And I'm like, sis, pump your brakes. Fonzo is not going nowhere. Shay ain't letting that happen. She would break your face if you try anything, little girl. So move on. So now we have Shar here doing her assignment that Dr. Nicole gave them. She wants her and Otis to write down what they want more in their relationship, and she has quality time is very important, and communicating. So you see here, Otis is, I guess, going through his list. He wants intimacy. He mentioned quality time too. You can see here on the note, he has energy, telepathy. I'm like, telepathy? What is that about? You want to read your mind? Like a lot of men think that they can read our minds. No, you evidently want her to read your mind. But she said, quality time is very important, Otis. And petty Otis, here he go. Look at that look on his face. It's like she can't say anything where he gonna have a comeback on. He was like, well, we have quality time, but when we do, you on your phone or whatever, on social media. And she was like, come on, Otis, we're not gonna get petty. Are we gonna go through that? The doctor wanted us to go through what's important to us. He was like, well, I want quality time too. I'm like, here we go, Otis. Why you have to say the same thing she says all the time? Like, just focus on what's important to her. You don't have to come back with the same thing. You are so childish. That's why they annoy me so much, because they got this dynamic to their relationship that's just like corny and puts me to sleep. I'm like, come on. I wish they had just found another couple, because these two are just not doing it for me. So now we have Shorty and Tay's date. Now, Shorty wanted to go back out with Tay again, so Dr. Cole said go on out. And listen, he said he wants to get them a little closer, so he want to go salsa dancing because that's a dance of love. So they come in doing their little thing, and the instructor, is talking to her, introducing her to dance before. She's like, no, I'm no dancer, but I'm going to get out here and try. So they get out there on the dance floor, and she was like, I'm having a good time with Tay. It helps me get my mind off my issues. So I'm going to just get in here and get loose and enjoy this date dancing. So, the salsa dancer told her to, basically let him lead. She said, I have a hard time leading, which we know, Shorty, because you want to control. You want to be the lead in your relationship, and that's one of the problems with you and Kenneth now. So she goes ahead, lets him lead, and they have a nice salsa dance. And I think she's pretty good for a beginner. She didn't do too bad with the dancing. Had a little dip. They got a little fancy and had a good time. So yeah, salsa dancing was definitely a good date for them. Right here, Shorty is, just basically thinking on, what going on another date or continuing what Tay can do for their relationship, with her and Kenneth's relationship. So we'll see. But now they're getting ready to go out to dinner. And she said, I know you're about to ask that question, because she said, what do you think, going forward? What do you think about us? And, these dates we've been having. So she said, is this that, time when you say, we going on another date? Because, she said a fourth date would basically be like cheating. But she want to take her time and figure out what's going on, and how this is going to work, and take it slow, because she still want to work on her relationship. But, he's basically told her, that he's going to be there for her. So regardless of what, she decides to do, he pretty much is going to be patient and wait for her to figure it out. And that's something that she's stressed out about, because she's really feeling Tay. And I don't know. Shorty really confuses me, because it's like she acts like she wants to focus on her relationship and she's scared to go further with Tay. But then sometimes you act like you can't stand Kenneth's guts. So whatever. But anyway, here's Dr. Nicole with Kenneth. She's coming over to the house to have their one-on-one. She's really excited to come and see him. This was one of the hardest portions of the episode to watch, because Kenneth really seems like a broken man. I don't know his history with dating and other women, relationship with his father, but I really think he does love Shorty, and he does focus on her. How he goes about doing certain things may not be the best, but she was involved with him and used him for as long as she possibly could. Now he's saying when they talk, she's always pounding negativity into him, and that's not good, because if you want him to be a better man, like he was going back to this scene right here from last episode. She was like, you want women who are above you, and you can't give them what you want from them. You can't give the same thing, because that's not you. And it's very insulting as a man to break him down and feel like he's little to nothing. And this is how Kenneth basically looks, like a broken man who really needs guidance on how to work a relationship properly, and having those right men around his circle to build him up, I think, is really important, so he can have a healthy relationship. He was like constantly trying to prove himself to her, and prove himself is like really tiring, and is getting into a bad situation where he doesn't know how much more of this he's going to be able to take. And so Dr. Nicole said, basically, focus on you, take care of you. So now Shay is going on her date with Shahid, excuse that in the back. And so she was a little chilly. He said, oh, why you don't got a coat? She said, because I'm trying to be cute. You know how we ladies do. We stroll, we try to be cute. No, we be freezing. But she had a nice green suit, and I really liked the outfit she had on. And he took out the chair for her. She was like, thank you. She said, but can you get that chair back in? I know what you mean, Shay. We got a lot working with. Can you push this back in? But he handled it. So she said, Shahid, a.k.a., what was his name? Silver, DJ Silver. She's going to go and try to have a nice time, and enjoy her date. So, they chatted, and he basically asked her where she was from. She told him she was originally from Jacksonville, and she came to Atlanta, after their little introductions and how they met. Nice to meet you and all that. So then, so he said, well, what brought her here? And she said, a man. Basically, he was like, oh, okay. I forgot you came here with a whole man. You got in a relationship. So she was like, yeah, I got a man and he's a big man. And he was like, oh, okay. So they had like a little, banter going on, but they had a nice little vibe. So, he said, well, I ain't scared of him or whatever. Yeah, he was like, well, he a big man. He was like, okay, well, you ain't saying nothing. You ain't saying nothing. He big. I just gotta, get in between him and say, what's going on. I guess basically the best man gonna win. We both gotta fight for her. So she got a little, was like, ooh, well, okay. She got a little flattered by that and was fanning like it was getting hot. I mean, Shay is really a gorgeous sister. She is beautiful. Either way, I wish it would work out for her in her life, because I think she is really sweet and well put together. So he was laughing at her, said, yeah, it is getting hot. Let me take this jacket off. So she went on to tell him what it is that he does. And she told him he a DJ. He was DJing virtually now since the pandemic because he wants to keep, his family safe and himself safe. So she said, oh, okay. Well, when you say family, who is that? Who's at home? And then he told her that he has a daughter, a 1-year-old. And she was like, oh, okay. And he was like, yeah. So she said, he went on to ask her, I think at this point, after that, he talked about, having a child. And, it's great being a father. Then he complimented her that she looked nice and green. And then told her that he almost wore green. She was like, oh, well, if you had a wore green, we would probably take Instagram pictures or something. But, I don't want to have those problems with some woman walking up to me in a stroller talking about who's that man, who's this lady or whatever. He kind of laughed at her on that situation. So she said, yeah, I don't want to have them kind of problems. So he thought that was cute. And then she went on further to talk about how he would handle a situation when it came to him, and I guess he in a relationship and the child's mother. If that woman feels insecure about the relationship, like how would he handle that? And he was like, And then she said, because do you think that it's your place to address that situation that she's going through with Fonzo? And he said he's very big on communication. And if this is somebody that I'm with and I'm feeling and I want a future with, then I'm going to have to address that, because he wants the baby's mother and the girl both to understand their positions, and especially with the child's mother, so she can know the dynamics, they're not together, and this is who I'm with, and handle that situation in the right place. At least there would be no, guessing as to whether this is your woman or whether they're going to get back together. No, it's clear that this is who I'm going to have a future with. This is who is going to be around our child. So she said, you will be the one to communicate that. And he said, definitely, because, it's no playing games. It's either we together and we building a future together and this is what you want, or move on. So she said those type of men who, if they're not communicating that, do you think they playing games? And he told her, yeah, basically they are playing games. He was like, I don't know your man, but I know that he knows what he's doing. Men know what they're doing because it's very simple. It's either this or that, and you play that out. So he was like, I don't know, what you're going to do or what your situation is. But if anybody is making you... Well, then he went to tell her before he said anything further. He said, I hope... did I say something wrong, because of the look on her face? And she said, no, you saying everything right. And she went on to say on the sidebar that, here's a man telling her exactly what she's going through with Alfonso, and it makes her question, is Fonzo serious? about going further with me? Does he really want this? And he said, if something's not right in your spirit, or if it's making you sick and giving you pains in your stomach, then you're going to have to question yourself, is this what you want? Is this the person for you? And he was basically, it's coming from a God's perspective and how he would handle things. She doesn't know him personally, but he was just calling it straight. And he seems like a pretty straight shooter. So it gave us something to think about. She was like, yeah, I got to think on this. So this may be the case. So then now the group is back with Dr. Nicole. And they're basically going over, how the experiences was. And Shay, said how good she was. She let the girl in and, made her have a seat. But, she told her that she had a couple rules for her. And Dr. Nicole was like, we not here for the rules. You got to let him, play his thing out like she told him before. You can't control the narrative. She was like, but Dr. Nicole, this is, I got to take baby steps. She said, no, I didn't tell you to take no baby steps. I told y'all to take steps. So don't put any words in my mouth. You got to do better. Because she was pissed off. Like, Dr. Cole, come on, give me a break. I gave the girl 1 or 2 rules. Like, I'm trying to get better. Shay, you was better, girl. You was better than the first time. I'll give you those credits. Sometimes you got to let these little chicks, they slick. Let them know what the deal is. So Dr. Nicole explained, how they can't always control. They always got to, put their best foot forward and what they're trying to do to grow their relationships and not try to control it. And you see Shar face over to the side. And I'm like, Shar, you ain't want to be talking about nothing because you got your fair share of crap on your own. But Dr. Nicole wanted them to say, because a lot of times we tend to want to control the narrative. And we can't always do that. If you're in a situation now, you want to see the other person grow. You want to see what they're doing when you're not around. You want to see how they respond to other people and to you. So, if you're not wasting your time to move forward. So, Alfonso, basically was saying, with Shay and the whole situation that, he really, want to go forward in the right manner. So, she went over Dr. Nicole to Shorty and Kenneth, and how her date was with Tay. She said she had a good time with Tay. She realized she's in a position where she can let a man lead. And she had a, good time with the date. I think she's really nervous with this look on her face because I think she's really feeling Tay, and in spite of that, she's just trying to go through this process with Kenneth, but she's still cold-blooded. She just can be cold-blooded. So Dr. Nicole asked Kenneth how he felt about the situation, and she also asked Shorty, do you feel Kenneth wants to lead in your relationship? And she said, I think he wants to lead, but I really don't think he has the tools, to do so. And you can tell in the body language, Kenneth's face again, feeling deflated. Here she goes again, breaking me down. He was like, I'm so tired of this with her. If she wants to, I'm done. Because, he can tell. A man can tell when you're starting to really feel someone else. And that's a concern. I think Dr. Nicole, from the conversation she had with Kenneth earlier, there's a great concern with that. With this woman constantly deflating him. He's feeling less than a man. She's putting him down that he cannot do it and get to the level that she expects for him. Then you're going to chew him up and spit him out. He's never going to be the man, Shorty, that you want him to be, because you tearing him down and breaking him up. And now Kenneth's at the point where he feels absolutely done with her. So what do you think? Please give me feedback in the chat, especially on these couples. Should any of them even think about putting a ring on it? So definitely see.